I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel, 5 p.m. Eastern, as we continue our around-the-clock coverage of dangerous Hurricane Irma. We just got the update in from the National Hurricane Center, the 5 o'clock update. It's still packing maximum sustained winds of 125 miles per hour. That makes it a very strong Category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Forecast to ride right back up to a Cat 4 status before making landfall sometime on Sunday, very likely now on the west coast of Florida. It's still moving west at 9 along the Cuban coast. Earlier today, we had wind gusts in Cuba just over 150 miles an hour. So that eye wall still means business, although it's going to come into Florida a little bit weaker than we saw back in Barbuda and St. Martin. It's still going to be a very dangerous, life-threatening hurricane for most of Florida, even over here on the east coast in Miami, where although we're out of the cone, we're still going to get at least hurricane-force wind gusts. We have a tornado threat right now. We have a tornado warning in north central Broward County at around sunrise. This is west of I-75. That runs till 5:15. And then on the southwest coast over in Everglades City for southwestern parts of Collier County, we have a tornado warning till 5:15. So the first couple of tornado warnings, which will be two of many we'll see in the coming days, we'll likely have a tornado watch from the Storm Prediction Center coming up. Let's get more analysis now. Brian Norcross is in the lab. Brian, give us your latest take on the update and on the track and where we think the worst is going to be. Still, we're assuming it's going to be on the west coast.
Mike, absolutely, and you know you've been through this a number of times. And
she could travel her way back down to Miami. That's where we find Mike Seidel. Mike catching some of the early stages of what's yet to come. Let's send it back to you, Mike.
Okay, Reynolds, back here on the water in Miami, downtown Miami. We're in the Brickell section looking beyond to the port of Miami, and also you can see the cranes there. All the ships are out. All the Carnival cruise ships, the Royal Caribbean, all the cruise ships are out to sea. They left yesterday. And beyond that is the Miami Beach skyline, which disappeared very quickly. About 45 minutes ago, we had a tremendous tropical squall. And now look on the radar. It's been pounding up in Broward County. Lauderdale, we had an earlier tornado warning in north central Broward. That expires or will expire at 5:15. Now off the coast, we have a special marine warning. That includes areas off this coast in Broward County. Those storms are coming in from the east. And as they transition on shore, there could be a concern for tornadoes, because that one's been issued for the risk of water spouts out over the Atlantic. So watch those come in. Stay with us. We're going to stay right here until 10 o'clock tonight Eastern. And as squalls come in, we will be showing you them live here on the Weather Channel. You get a sense of how hard it rains and how hard the wind blows with these squalls. Right now, the wind's running about 20 miles an hour. It's a nice breeze considering the heat index this afternoon in some areas of South Florida was up at about 105 degrees. I know, imagine that. But it's a very hot environment, very juicy environment. Remember, the water temperatures are in the upper 80s here and close to 90 between Key West and Cuba. So that gives grounds for the possibility of a likelihood that Irma will re-strengthen. Speaking of Key West, here's the camera from down there. Earlier today, they had a squall with a gust of 69 miles an hour. By the way, at Key West Naval Air Station, they've got a skeletal staff, and they're hunkered down in a building that's built for Category 5 hurricanes. Hopefully everybody else in Key West has gotten out of town, and for that matter, all of the Florida Keys as we roll on through tonight and tomorrow. That's where the worst of the weather is going to be first. We'll keep you updated. More coverage after our break. I want to reference. This is meteorologist Mike Seidel on the water in Miami, and we're watching yet another squall come in. These are going to be coming in more frequently through this evening, and then tonight and Sunday we get the full brunt of the hurricane. The worst of the wind is going to be over on the west coast because it is tracked farther west, and now it's going to track up and then eventually into the west coast. Look at the visibility. It's starting to drop. We can still see the towers, the condos and hotels over Miami Beach, but we've got another squall coming in. If you take a look at the radar, we had a marine warning off the coast. That expired at the bottom of the hour at 30 after, so that's out of the way. But as these cells come in from here up into Broward County, look out for the potential for additional tornado warnings. We've had two already, one over on the southwest coast in Collier County, and we had one out around sunrise that expired at 5:15 out in north central Broward. So the wind is still rolling in here. Look at the waves rolling in the Whitecaps here. This is Brickell Key here, and we hope that just about everybody, if not everybody, has gotten out of these high rises. No, the wind is not going to blow these down. They're they're rated up to at least 135 miles an hour. We're not going to get that kind of wind here. But the concern is glass blowing around and things just getting blown into the air. And then you got flying projectiles through the financial district here in downtown Miami. There aren't many people down here, I can tell you that. At the hotel, we have folks that live literally right across the street, and they checked into the hotel because they were concerned about glass breaking. So we're going to watch these calls come in. And even though you're not in the cone anymore here in Miami and Fort Lauderdale and up through the Palm Beaches, that doesn't mean we're not going to get a nasty impact and hit from Hurricane Irma. That just means the center is not going to come right over us. It's going to stay to our west. That's simply why we are not in the cone here in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. That's the only reason. That doesn't mean the storm is going to be any less. Sure, the catastrophic, highest potent winds will be on the west coast, but here, Brian Norcross, we're still going to get, at minimum, hurricane-force wind gust, damage, power outages, and the surge here expected at 4 to 6 feet. Brian?
Mike, the last time Category 1 winds came through Miami was Florida coast. All right, let's go back to Mike in Miami, right by downtown Miami, and that amazing Brickell corridor there. Mike?
Okay, Brian, let's get you the update. We've got some breaking news here from Monroe County. This is the Florida Keys. We have another tornado warning now issued for the lower Keys. This is down around the 7 Mile Bridge. It's moving southwest, and the tornado warning till 6. This includes the Key West area, also Boca Chica and the Boca Chica Channel. Fortunately, just about everybody has left the Keys, but heads up there, just a sign of things to come across the entire state of Florida and even up into parts of the southeast as we get into Monday and Tuesday. That tornado threat in parts of Georgia and South Carolina will come up as we get into the first part of the week. Back here, that's Brickell Key. We're right off the Brickell section of Miami, the financial district, hotels and condos. Everybody pretty much has left town or left this area. They're concerned with flying shrapnel and glass. All of these buildings are going to be fine. We're not going to get the kind of winds that would really cause some issues. These condos are basically rated up to at least 135 miles an hour. We're not going to get those kind of winds here. We do have the light chop rolling in from Port Miami, and in the distance, the dark skies looking out over the Atlantic. We're looking east over Miami Beach, and we're keeping an eye on the radar because of those squalls coming in. We had one earlier. We just got some video. One of our Weather Channel viewers driving up and down Brickell. I've just sent that in. We're going to get that turned around, and we'll show you what it looked like in a few minutes on Brickell during that squall. That was about 4:15 Eastern here in Miami. Keep in mind, hurricane warnings up for the entire east and west coast of Florida. The only exception would be from Appalachia Bay and the Panhandle. You're not under a hurricane warning, and those warnings could be extended up the coast into the southeast as we go into tonight and tomorrow. The timing here in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, the Palm Beaches, the Keys, well, we're already getting wind gusts in the Keys over 60 miles an hour. But the worst of the weather will be late tonight, tomorrow morning into Sunday afternoon. As far as Miami goes, once the storm goes by to our north latitude, so you draw a line across the state, it's going to go up on the west side. Once it goes by, then the winds are going to come around to the southwest and west. So any surge issues, we're forecasting a 4 to 6 foot surge in Biscayne Bay and this whole area here in Miami. That water is going to get blown back out. So that's not going to be an issue anymore. But we're still going to have the impact of the wind and that severe threat, that tornado threat, which will continue through Sunday night into the early hours of Monday morning. By Monday here, the sun will come back out and we'll be able to assess what kind of impacts we had here in South Florida. Next stop here, as we continue our coverage on the Weather Channel, we're going around the clock here on the Weather Channel 24/7. We've got crews up and down the West Coast. Paul Goodloe, Jim Cantori. We also have Chris Bruin and Stephanie Abrams lined up on the West Coast. And we've got Reynolds Wolf in Jacksonville Beach. He's up there right now. Reynolds, I know you're farther away from the center. I have not looked closely at what you've dealt with this afternoon. Have you had any squalls yet? And what have you noticed as far as the surf? Because that swell is propagating hundreds of miles away from Irma.
Oh, no.